Happy Sunday. Today, I want to talk specifically about this. Now, all of these things are landmarks, wonderful assets in our community, all of which are standing in St. Stephen, except this one. This is the projected mock-up of the world's oldest basketball court and basketball experience museum, set to go up at some point in the future at the site of the world's oldest basketball court right here on King Street, right in the downtown of St. Stephen. Now, I mentioned this, I've mentioned it a couple times, but I mentioned it particularly in yesterday's video where I was recounting the story of a gentleman who I was talking to at his door, and he really felt like, the basketball court, schmatzketball court. And just from a municipal perspective, somebody who is aspiring to be your mayor and wants to approach things really objectively, like I've said before, evidence-based development. We really want to make sure that we don't just pie in the sky things. If you build it, cross your fingers and something good will happen. There are lots of questions around, well, what is the actual feasibility, benefit of something like the basketball court, this huge endeavor, this huge development? But I have heard lots of people say, what's the catch? What will the municipality be on the hook for? Are we going to see our property taxes rise as a result of having something so, and I think there's something so state of the art in our downtown? There's almost some suspicion around it. How can that be? So today I just want to let you know kind of what I know from following the project, from taking a tour, from knowing the original, I don't know when the original, I shouldn't say the original, but years of talking to future St. Stephen, looking at what the municipality is doing. And I think the ultimate question I want to help respond to here today is, as mayor and council and as a resident, as a ratepayer yourself, what will the municipality have to pay to get a facility like that built and running in our community? What's the benefit? What's the trade-off? What's the catch? And so it's really important to know those things before we do anything. I've said before, when we are stewarding as a council this corporation, the St. Stephen is an incorporated body. It is important not to be running deficits, because what happens is ultimately the residents have to pay for that kind of thing. Now, I should say you're not allowed to run a deficit as a budget. So I guess what I mean is not taking out debt. And when we allocate our budget, and I always have this really close at hand, the budget here, because you want to go through line by line. And when you see that we are, we've taken on some debt as a town, where it's like $600,000 of debt payment, interest, principal every year on our books, it is important to steward that, to know, we invested in this. We're borrowing to pave some of the roads on the main thoroughfares this year, et cetera, et cetera. So fiscal responsibility is really important here, and knowing, as I've said before, what's an asset and what's a liability. So I'll just say right up front here, the financial breakdown, and as we think of that question of the asset versus the liability of the world's oldest basketball court, it is projected to be an $18 million project in total to get this thing built and up and running. Now, where does the funding come from for that? Well, there have been talks among the developers, of course, with something of this historical significance, the world's oldest basketball court right here downtown, steps away from where I live. The province has been approached, and they have tentatively agreed to a $6 million investment in the project. The federal government has been approached. They have tentatively agreed to a $6 million project. But as with any public funding, and public funding means our taxes, right? They need to see private buy-in, quite literally private investment from businesses, from donors, raising money from individuals and from companies and from foundations. And so that is what's happening. When you look at the board. Canada First Basketball is the nonprofit that is basically steering the fundraising of this. They are seeking to raise $6 million in private funding and donations. And therefore, once that is done, the province can fund it and then the federal government can fund it. But again, those things are tentative in the sense of, hey, we will match what you fundraise, but the governments say we need to see that community buy-in. And it's such an immense project that really what Canada First Basketball is doing is trying to raise more than just very local interest. This is regional interest and ultimately national interest. And so I posted on my Facebook page just a couple of days ago how this is a massive undertaking, but you see things like the Canada Basketball Hall of Fame induction ceremony is set to take place in St. Stephen this summer. It happens every 2 years. It's only ever happened outside of Ontario once before, and that was in Vancouver. And Vancouver is trying to get it again right before the 2028 Olympics. They want to host that in 2028. But in 2026, it's happening here in St. Stephen. Basketball.ca, I posted the article of the induction nominees. So right now is the nomination process, and there's criteria there for this is nationwide. This is Canada Basketball is taking nominees for the ceremony to happen in St. Stephen. Now, in terms of the fund, so then we got to think like this is huge. But again, even the skeptics, cynics among us say, well, how much is that going to cost me? And ultimately, when you're looking at this $18 million project, like I said, $6 million private funding, $6 million provincial, $6 million federal, friends, I feel like this is the best case scenario for our municipality because a feasibility study by a firm called Lord Cultural Resources out of Toronto. They did a feasibility study for something, again, this big. We never want like a white whale downtown where, well, that went up and it was a total bust. They gave the green light. They said this is projected to be a very not only feasible project, but very profitable. In fact, $7.8 million annual dollars in terms of regional activity, regional economic activity, is projected to take place as a result of having that world's oldest basketball court facility and basketball cultural experience here. So that includes a projected 23,000 annual visitors, over 100 regional jobs. And of course, when they talk about that 7.8 million, you think about the hotel that this can't really happen without hotel. I mean, I suppose St. Andrews, their proximity, you will get lots of people coming up from St. Andrews. And ultimately, that's what we want. We don't want to put all our eggs, I would say, in the tourism basket, but you cannot discount the huge effect of tourism. Just ask our American neighbors right now who are seeing declines in tourism as a result of some of their federal government's activity, and it is taking billions out of their economy. And you ask St. Andrews the impact that tourism makes on them. Again, we can't only say we are a tourism community because that's not necessarily sustainable, which is why I've mentioned, the industrial park and needing to bring business here, whether that's warehousing or distribution. I mean, I've talked about what Macadam is doing with the rail line. That's the way we need to be thinking. We need to be projecting our place as a wonderful place to live and work and play and have a business, small business like myself. But ultimately, we are looking at lots of economic activity, 7.8 million when you think of the hotel impacts, the restaurant impacts, the transportation impacts, right? All of that is going to spill over with people visiting and spending money in our community. And so that's a very healthy thing. So on the balance sheet, again, what is the municipality going to be on the hook for? Well, municipality is always on the hook for, water infrastructure, sewers, pipes, drainage, sidewalks, and roads. Here's why this is, I would say one of the best case scenarios is this is not a project, think like a theme park or a casino, some have suggested, which would need to be built outside of town, somewhere on some frontage road or where frontage road would need to be conducted, and therefore the town needs to install, the municipality would be on the hook for interchanges, perhaps, turnoffs, new sewer lines, new water lines, new runoffs, all that kind of thing. That is a lot of times what municipalities get involved in, hoping for some new development that then hopefully will bring some cash flow in terms of tax revenue and economic activity. That has its place for debate. But what's incredible about this is we see private funding, provincial funding, and federal funding happening right in our downtown, which really needs to be the focus of our revitalization. I've been doing lots of reading on value per acre and profitable neighborhoods. And the downtown is always, I shouldn't say always, the majority of the time, in terms of economic activity, business and residences in the downtown, that is the most profitable area of a municipality, and it has the most value per acre in terms of economic activity versus what your tax dollars, public funding, needs to be spent to service those areas. And so, in a nutshell, is this an asset or a liability? Well, the municipality can, and I think in the future when this thing is going up, there will be discussions around, okay, municipality, can you give us some sort of incentives or that kind of thing? Developers typically say, hey, municipality, how are you going to sweeten the deal? We see that with apartments and some of the housing developments. There is $400,000 set aside in this annual budget for building incentives, which is, one of those things where, hey, we can love it, we can hate it, but there is a sense that in order to entice, the same way with getting doctors here, that $50,000 in the budget, in order to get builders to come here, there has to be a trade-off. Again, I'm not debating that right now. That is a decision in a case-by-case basis, year-by-year budget. But in terms of when we're looking at $7.8 million of economic activity and 3 other sources of funding, it looks like the municipality will be hugely in the black on this, and it will generate lots of excitement and economic stimulus right in our downtown. Like I say, where if you're going to have anything being developed in our town, that's where the Border Arena, the fact that is right on King Street, that is a best case scenario. Anything that doesn't have to be built outside of town, where new roads, new pipes, new horizontal infrastructure needs to be built, that is the sweet spot for the Municipal District of St. Stephen, and that is what we're seeing with the world's oldest basketball court. So that's why, personally, I'm very excited. Even if you're just a balance sheet person, this is a really important development and generating lots of rightful excitement. So kudos to Canada First Basketball and the people who have been working doggedly on this for years and will continue. This is one of those things where the long vision for this that has been required is the kind of thing that really excites me. I have referred just yesterday actually to people who are doggedly and tirelessly serving with a long vision, things to improve our community, ways to bring wealth and profitability here and generate excitement, community pride. This checks all of those boxes. And so, even if you're not a basketball person, which, I don't know, will it shoot down my campaign for me to say I have not been a basketball person? But I can't wait to see this go in and to participate in all the exciting things that this is going to bring. So again, thanks to everyone participating. And I would just say as a resident, there is no downside here. Let's get on board. This is a really exciting thing for our community as we build up St. Stephen. This is one more of those ways that we are building up something exciting physically, some like literal facility, and then building up the pride in where we live. And it will also definitely help with the balance sheet of the annual budget of economic activity in our area. All right, friends, thank you so much. Happy Sunday to you, and I will see you tomorrow. Build up yourself, take care of yourself and your neighbor. Let's build up St. Stephen, and visit my website, buildupststephen.ca, for more about my commitments and my priorities and the 5-stage action plan that we will undertake as your council in every decision that we make going forward. Have a great rest of your weekend, and